Hi Crafty friends, welcome to Candace's Canvases. I'm your host, Candace Gillespie. Now I know you've heard this a few times already, so let me just say it quickly. The Save the Crafty YouTuber Video Hop is a celebration of card making video tutorials that has been created by a group of talented crafters of all different styles and all different levels. We're coming together over 5 days to give our viewers a chance to discover other amazing card makers and to help reach monetization goals. All you have to do is to watch, like the video, consider subscribing, and click the link in the video description below to hop to the next video. Let yourself be inspired. Don't forget to comment because we have tons of prizes to give away. And my prize to give away is a $25 Maymay Made It gift card. Please indicate if you're located in the United States or international so that prizes can be awarded appropriately, as some prizes, not all, have restrictions on them. And don't forget to check back every day this week since there are 5 themed days of video hops. You never know when you'll discover your next favorite YouTuber. Now let's get started. So my first business order here for this card is to cut out 2 card bases because I'm going to show you 2 different cards, and then I'm going to cut out 4 card panels because these card panels, one's going to go on the front, one's going to go on the inside of the card. I ran these card panels through my die cutting machine with the wonky stitched border dies from Avery. And then this stamp set is one of my favorites. It's from Maymay Made It, and it's the fall stitched up stamp set. And there's just like a stitching on the inside of these leaves, super cute. I'm using the Brutus Monroe Alabaster White pigment ink on the black cardstock. It shows up really well. I'm very happy with that ink. Quickly, I'm going to take 2 of those panels and I'm going to color the leaves on them. So remember, we stamped 4. Just 2, I'm going to color all the leaves. Now the colors I picked, I'm using Prismacolor colored pencils. Just pick any old yellow you like. I picked more of an orangey yellow and a red, green, yellow, and orange. Just 4 colors. Make it real simple, and then I'm just going back and forth between the colors, and I colored all the leaves on 2 card panels. For the inside card panels, these are going to be layered. This is where my sentiment is going to go. I'm just taking the edges of my color pencils and I'm just randomly coloring a border. Now you'll see in a minute here, toward the end actually, that I'm going to put a border on the inside of these cards. Or a card panel rather, sorry. So for the pumpkin, I have a 4-inch by 1/2 inch strips of paper here. I cut out, you can cut out between 10 and 12 strips. And then you're going to need a section set aside. So you can see here, I set aside this piece right here. I inked up all the edges of each of those pieces with the famous Distress Ink and Vintage Photo. And I'm going to line up all those pieces and bring my crocodile here because I'm going to put these all together using brads. So the crocodile punches through super easy. I love that tool. Here's my collection of sequins and brads, and I'm just taking orange brads. I happen to have orange. I don't think they're necessary at all. And then I'm going to put them on both sides, and that's going to hold the layers together. Once that's all put together, I'm going to separate each of the pieces and just make sure they're not stuck together. If they are, there's no problem. It just tends to work itself out. So you'll notice here I'm opening it up halfway, and then I'm just going to snip off. You can see the little extra hangover there. I'm going to snip that off. Super easy. I'm taking the famous art glitter glue, and I'm just putting this around the edges of this 3D pumpkin. And I'm going to glue that down to this paper. Next, I'm going to take more art glitter glue. This one is kind of clogged a little bit, so I'm going to bring over my other art glitter glue. And I'm just going to run a bead all the way around this. And I'm making sure, excuse the headshot, I'm making sure that the glue is touching the pumpkin as well as the bottom paper there. And that's why I kind of left this in. I wanted to describe to you what I was doing. I think once you do it, you'll get the hint. You'll get the idea of what I'm trying to explain here. The reason why is you want the glue to grab the pumpkin and the base paper at the bottom. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. Now for the second one, I just took some Fabri-Tac and glued this burlap fabric onto this cardstock. I've seen cardstock that's already glued to, so that's super easy. Then I'm just going to glue this into a cone shape. I didn't have the patience to wait for this Fabri-Tac to dry, so I set up my hot glue gun, and while it was starting to get tacky, I just thought, you know, hot glue gun's going to be way faster. And just trim that off of your, you know, the remaining of your fabric topped paper. And then I just kind of am trimming it up, making sure it's nice and round. And then you'll see me measuring it up to this card panel here. And I decided it was a little too tall. You just eyeball it. No harm, no foul. And I thought it's about a good, you know, height. And then I'm going to cut out a semicircle, and just enough to be, this is going to be like the brim of the hat, but of course it's going to be glued on here, so we don't need that back portion. And I'm just testing it, and I decided it was sticking out a little too much, so I'm going to cut it even farther, making sure it's nice and flat in the back there, and then glue that down onto the brim of your hat. And then you'll see here that I'm taking my scissors and I'm just giving it a nice rounded look. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is meant to be like a scarecrow's hat or a pilgrim's hat or something like that. I'm bringing my distress ink and I'm inking that up just kind of along the edges there. I think in hindsight, what I would do when I make another one of these is I would tie some ribbon around there or make like a paper buckle. You saw me picking up that pumpkin. It's not quite dry yet. So I'm just taking some VersaFine Black Onyx ink and I'm stamping out the same leaf on some green cardstock. Then I fussy cut those out. Do make sure that your ink is dry before you fussy cut it out if you're using a pigment ink. I did not wait, and if you look closely you can see a smear. But it doesn't bother me. It actually adds to the texture of this leaf, so I'm fine with that. Then I'm bringing in some distress ink and just distressing those each. Here I am snipping about 1/8 of an inch strips. I'm snipping about 4 of these strips. And then I'm going to trim off one that tapers to a point and it's kind of thick. So I'm going to just take my distress ink and ink up the thicker one. And I didn't ink up the little ones. And here's a quilling tool. I also got this off of Maymay Made It's website, which is maymaymadeit.com. And I wound those up and just put them aside because those are going to be like the little spindly things that will be protruding from the leaf. So I'm going to hot glue this on. And then these little spindly things are going to get glued on just anywhere that your designer eye sees fit. I kind of thought they looked cute popping out of around the brim. And then this one I think I glued up a little bit taller or higher. It just kind of looks like there's a pilgrim hat in like a pumpkin patch, I felt like, with the little spindlies. So I'm using that little tool to make sure that's nice and stuck down. Then I'm bringing in some foam tape and I'm going to double it up. This is the same type of foam tape that you can get from Simon Says Stamp. It's a little bit thinner than like the Scott, is that the right? Yeah, the Scott foam adhesive tape, which tends to be a little thicker. So You can get the same thinner. I think to have a thick one and a thin one is totally necessary in your craft room. But when you don't have the thicker one, just double up this thinner one, which you can get. You can find a huge roll like this off Simon Says Stamp, which is one of our sponsors. Thank you so much, Simon Says. Simon Says Stamp, that is. Am I going back to 4th grade? Just kidding. So now it's time to glue this thing on. You noticed I just cut it out, trimmed it off, made sure that I didn't cut through the glue, but more around the glue. And then I just placed it there, determining where I wanted to adhere my leaf down. And then I adhered that down, and here I'm rolling up. This is going to turn into the stem of the pumpkin. So I'm just adding some glue. I'm making sure it's the right size, and then I'm adding some glue onto the stem and putting it on top of that brad that's there. And then I'm going to glue down these little spindly pieces. And now it's time for the inside of the card. So for the inside of the card, we have our card panel here. Remember, we just colored the border around. Then I'm going to glue these on. And then I'm going to use the second piece, the second die from the wonky stitched dies here. And I'm going to die cut out 2 white pieces and just distressed those. And then now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And this is from the same stamp set, Fall Stitched Up. And I can't quite remember what it says off the top of my head, but I know it's a good one. So I'm just using VersaFine Black Onyx ink. And I'm going to give that a couple stamps down using my awesome Tonic Studios Tim Holtz stamp platform. I love how rugged it is. I love that I can just get ink all over it and whatever, and just wipes clean. It's just so my style. I grew up with 2 brothers, so let's be honest, I'm not that careful. I just get it done, you know, and I have fun doing it. So now it's time to glue on the front panels, and our card is almost done. I thought that it needed some bling, so I got out some sequins. These are just some random ones I have in my stash. And I made a little bow out of the burlap frayed piece, so it all matches. And then just gluing the sequins on the right spots. Just whatever suits your designer eye. I don't think that there's any rule to it, except the general eye seems to be more pleased with odd numbers. Using my Tombow sand eraser to get out any fingerprints, and there you have it, a 3D festive card. These cards are really good for if you have a package or a gift basket. You just put it right on top, and when the gift is opened, they have this fun 3D card. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. A huge thank you to our sponsors. Some are Justine Hovey, who put the whole thing together. She's amazing. There's Catherine Pooler. She's a major sponsor. Spellbinders, Altenew, Gina K Designs. So many people are involved in this, and it has been such a fun thing to do. Looking forward to the next one. And remember, hit that subscribe button below and the bell icon so you know when I post a video. We'll talk again soon, crafty friends. Bye now.